Hello out there! Today I'm very excited to bring you the Bulkarm from the Kotobukiya Hexa Gear line. It is the first humanoid mech that they have released. There's another one that they've shown images of that is like the beta version of this, but it transforms into a car. Looks really cool. I'll definitely get that one too. But either way, for now, this is the alpha, and it is just your basic mech, meant to be piloted by the little governors. So he comes with a instruction booklet. It's all in Japanese, and of course the parts come on sprues of various colors. They're all conveniently labeled. You can see the H there. So if you're used to building models, you should have no problem with this. There's multiple identical sprues because the limbs basically, you could interchange them depending on how you build them. There's very few parts that are actually left or right dependent, and in fact most of this model kit, you can, even after assembly, you can pull the pieces apart like this. It's very modular, and you could reassemble this easily any way that you want to. The pieces fit in snugly. You really don't need glue. There's really only one part of this that is a problem, and that is the shoulder joint here, where this piece here, it only locks on the bottom. It doesn't really have a place that you can put through a connector. So for me, I will glue this so it's nice and solid, because otherwise when you try to move the arm, sometimes it flips around. But other than that, everything else, literally everything else on this holds together really well just with friction. So perfectly tolerant, the perfect tolerances on this kit. Really like it. But yeah, it is modular. You could shift this around, and in fact, I think that's some of the fun that you're supposed to have with this line, is building your own kit bashes. Let's do a couple quick size comparisons. If we size him up to Transformers, good standard collector item. There's Alpha Bravo. As you can see, he's probably, I'd say Bulkarm's maybe like a Voyager size, something like that. Here's another 124 scale model kit. This is the Dawntress. Beautiful mantis looking thing. If we put them side by side, you can see in terms of complexity and overall amount of plastic, Bulkarm is still a little superior. Of course, it doesn't have the walking mechanism. And then here is another Hexa Gear partner. This is the Governor. So this is supposed to be a human-sized pilot. So you can kind of get a overall scale view here, and we will put them in the cockpit just so you can see that. So to open him up, this piece here kind of lifts up just a little bit, and then this whole back piece rotates out like that. And then the head is mounted on sort of a control module which flips forward, and there's our pilot sitting inside. And you can remove him. You can obviously fit just about any figure that is about 3 inches in there. Some nice details. The seat would really benefit from some brown paint, give it kind of a leather feel. There's these little control handles right here which can pivot up and down. If you have the right hands on the Governor, he can hold these. And it does have some foot plates down here which pivot. I don't know if you can see them real well. There you go. It's got the 5 holes. Looks like a White Castle hamburger. And then you can see his little view screen with the three displays there, which it doesn't come with anything that you can put in there, but if you have enough kits, enough stickers, rep labels, whatever, you can find something to kind of put in there. Either way, it's meant to kind of, his head goes right into it like this. So it's kind of meant to be immersive. Anyway, while we've got the cockpit open, I can show you one of the other features, which is that the head pops off. You can get a better look at it. And you can replace it with this head. Now, I dig this head style, but it doesn't have the clear yellow plastic on it. So it just doesn't quite pop the same. You can see it's got a cool mono eye visor thing, and that fits right down on here like that. And this brings me to another point. So this view screen, I keep wanting to glue it on because it pops off, but I do have to say when it's there, it backs right up to the head and limits the mobility. Because without it, you can really turn this thing all kinds of different ways. But with it, it either blocks it or it pops off. So I don't know, something for each individual when they build their own to decide how they like it. But either way, when placing the pilot back in, it's a pretty good fit. There's not a whole lot you have to watch out for. Just have to make sure he's seated and that his feet are in the right place. And you can just fold it all back together. And voila. Now, I will say that if you look right through this gap, you can see the white of his leg. So it's not the pilot is not completely sealed in there. Obviously, you can use your imagination. It's not so bad, but that is something to take note of, that it's not a perfect cockpit seal. So let's talk about the articulation. No better place to start than the head. Now, unfortunately, because of this hood, it can't really do much except look down and then back up to a neutral level. It can only wiggle side by side. This whole mechanism is attached to this, so hard to change out. But this piece kind of makes up for it because it can turn side to side, and then the ball will rotate up and down. So for a lot of mech poses, not that this is a light, but this would be your main optics anyway. So I don't know. Logic with toys. What are you going to do? To move on to the shoulders, so it can rotate at the shoulder. Of course, you can move this piece in and out to a certain extent, and this plate will actually flip up. So if you need more, you can just rotate the armor out of the way. I did it accidentally, but you can see the wrist will flop like this. Of course, it turns. These fingers open, and then the thumb will lever back and forth like so. So not the best articulation, but not terrible for the hands, and I appreciate what they have. And then there's a nice deep single joint, but it's a nice deep elbow bend. So plenty of articulation in the arms. The waist can rotate about that far before it starts bumping into itself. The hips will rotate nicely forward and back, and let's see, get this arm out of the way. You can get about that far to the side. Despite the way that it looks, this actually is a pretty deep knee bend, so that's very nice. Also exposes another piston in there, so I appreciate that. It does have rotation, or tilt I should say. The ankle rotates, and then the foot itself can pivot up and down, but it also has this toe joint, so you can get contact with the ground. So one last piece of articulation to show you, and it is related to his gun. So let's take a look at that. It comes in two pieces. This is the main barrel, and it attaches to his arm like this, so it is always underslung. And then the other part is this sort of ammo box. And cool thing about that, it does have a magazine, which if you pull out, has a little bullet detail there. There's just one, it's a little cap, but still kind of adds some realism to it, and it plugs right in the bottom here, like so, and then you can flip this piece down there. And it has a sliding mechanism that attaches to this peg on the back. So the last bit of articulation is, of course, that this fanny pack slides along the track, rotates over, links up with the barrel, engages, and now he's ready to rock and roll with this huge weapon, which is pretty cool. And then if you disengage it, it can just sit on the back like so. It does stick out a little bit, but I don't know, it's a cool feature. It's also the last moving part on this model, so that brings articulation to a close. The Bulkarm comes in this gorgeous box. Kotobukiya definitely spared no expense in putting this thing together. You can see it's got a nice shiny gloss to it. Some great shots of the prototype here, showing you all the various features. Now this is of course expertly painted, looks gorgeous. I also like that they have the production credits there, so it tells you who made this illustration and who built the prototype that they took the photos of. And then last on this side, it shows you kind of a parts breakdown, an alternate desert camo suggestion, and then these wheel parts aren't included, but if you get the kit that has them, it shows you kind of, just kind of suggesting how you can rebuild it to make some cool other things like this troop carrier. So, pretty awesome box. Alright, that's it for the Bulkarm. Thank you so much for watching. Take care until next time.